This is Real Conversations with Anita, a mental health podcast brought to you by Iltizam by Equinus and MIASA Malaysia. Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm Anita, your host for Real Conversations with Anita. Now, before we kick off our episode for today, we have some exciting and awesome news to share with you. Real Conversations with Anita is now proudly sponsored by Iltizam by Equinus. It is a CSR program under Equity National Berhad, where they are all about helping the Bumiputra community to grow and thrive through fair and sustainable development. They do extraordinary initiatives, everyone, including disaster relief, food provision, the preservation and cultivation of art, heritage, and culture, and alongside initiatives promoting health and well-being. And of course, one of their area of focus is mental health. Through this partnership, MIASA Malaysia and Iltizam by Equinus, we will be tackling the stigma surrounding mental health, and we will be supporting you in having these conversations. To Iltizam by Equinus for sponsoring this podcast, and we look forward to working with you. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, everyone. We meet again on Real Conversations with Anita, a mental health podcast brought to you by Iltizam by Equinus and MIASA Malaysia. And we are excited today once again to be supporting you in having this conversation where we unpack taboos surrounding mental health, supporting those of you who are struggling with mental health issues, and hopefully it translates this information that we bring to you a change in behavior, and it spurs actions at all levels. We also aim to honor the stories of individuals and celebrate those who have contributed tremendously in their own ways in society. Now, today we have with us Brother Aiman Azlan, the co-director of Kinder Bebe, director of Kinder Kaizen. I just learned how to pronounce it. Also a content creator, social media influencer. You also now run counseling sessions, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
And you have your own academy, which we will talk about here shortly.
Sure, look forward to
Okay.
it. Thank you for
so
having me.
thank you very much, Brother Aiman, for being with us on our show. How have you been and what have you been up to?
Healthy, alhamdulillah. Thank you for
Alhamdulillah.
having me. Right now, this is probably my debut as a counselor, as a registered counselor. So alhamdulillah for
mashallah,
that.
alhamdulillah. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been 6 years. Wow.
Wow,
So
long
finally
journey.
did it. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm focusing more on building relationships, particularly for young people to get married.
Okay.
So that's
Alhamdulillah.
probably one of my focus now.
Wow.
On top of, the daycare and the kindergarten aspect of it. But that's basically my thing right now,
Oh,
doing
awesome.
relationship stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what we would like to unpack with you today.
Oh, nice, nice.
And I read your bio actually last week. Baru baca your bio, where you started with a YouTube vlog in your one-bedroom apartment back in 2011.
It's a very important detail. It's a one-bedroom apartment.
One-bedroom apartment.
Shared with
somehow.
5 guys.
I know. When I was in the US, it was the same.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
No
It's
money.
different. No money.
Studying. Yeah.
Scholarship, tapi you know how it is.
Yeah.
Not very much.
Orang ingat kita kaya, but
No,
not really.
not
no.
really.
We
Not
have
at
to
all.
get by with what you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to work different jobs. That's what I did during the time as well. But you were in Toronto, Canada, which I've been as well. And you graduated in biology and psychology, which I never knew. I always assumed that you studied psychology, but not biology. Tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
There's a story there, but I'll try to
Okay.
keep it short.
Yeah.
Originally, I was supposed to do biotechnology.
Okay.
That was my original name in my scholarship, to do biotechnology. But
And I know that a lot as well because my brother majored in biotech as well.
Yeah. Because
Yeah?
I had an interest in science,
Okay.
but I didn't know exactly like which field to go to. And at the time, biotechnology was the thing
Right.
in science. It was back in 2008,
Okay.
2009, and my dad brought me to this biotech convention in
Okay.
KL at the time, and I got interested in it.
Okay.
So I want to try it.
Right.
And when I did try it, turned out it wasn't for me. And this was
Okay.
when I was in Canada, first year. It was not the best experience. My
Okay.
first year, I start to realize probably I wanted to do something else.
Okay.
So that summer, I tried psychology for the first time.
Wow.
Psychology 101. And to the surprise of all my friends, they kata, don't do psychology, it's bad, it's too difficult, the professor is so hard. But I did it anyway because I was interested in the description of it, to understand human behavior. To understand abnormality, to understand how to help people.
Right.
And it was the best decision of my life. It clicked, and I decided I have to change my major.
Right.
But I don't want to change it so much that my scholarship became shocked by the change.
Right.
So I kept biology,
Right.
just so that I don't steer too far away from biotechnology. That's a simple answer to it.
Okay.
I just want the bio to remain in the degree. So that's it.
All right.
But I do have interest in biology, to be fair. I do
Right.
have interest in biology.
Right. And then you studied psychology as your major, and then you pursued counseling.
Correct.
So counseling was always what you were interested in that sense.
No. So
Okay.
I
So it was a
graduated.
journey. Okay.
Yeah, I graduated 2013, and I immediately went into public speaking. Because at the
Okay.
time, universities were,
Big on public
inviting
speaking.
me for talks and all, because at the time YouTube was up and coming.
I see.
So all the YouTubers and vloggers were always being, invited to give talks in universities, and that's how I started.
Okay, so this was in Toronto.
Yes,
Okay.
2011, I was in Toronto.
Okay.
And when I went back home for the summer holiday, universities would invite me.
I see.
And that's when I start to realize, hey, you can make a living off of doing this. Because I didn't know that they pay you to speak.
Right.
I didn't know. So I discovered that and explored that. But I didn't know which, again, di sama macam sebelum ni tau, I didn't know which field to go
Right.
to. I just go and explore what's there.
Right.
After about 4 years of doing that, I start to realize that people kept coming me with all these relationship questions.
Right.
Family relations, friendship relations, romantic relations. Right? So I start to realize, because I always say to them, you should probably go to a counselor for this. You should probably go to a psychiatrist for this. You should probably I redirect them to these people.
Right.
Until one day I realized, why don't I become one of those people?
Right.
So 4 years after doing that, I decided 2017 I wanted to do masters in counseling, and that's what I did.
That's how you pursued it.
And 6 years
awesome.
later, graduated.
Yay! Specializing in marriage relationship.
That's what I want to do. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right. And so that's what you're actively doing, giving awareness and education related to marriage and relationship on your channel.
Yep.
I've heard bits and pieces, but we want to talk about that as well. Now, I've met you several years ago during the forum in IAUM.
I remember.
So that was an interesting one. And I've heard you speak on social media, but beyond that, we don't know each other. So just to make it clear to our viewers as well. So I will be learning about you at the same time with everyone else during this podcast. So this will be awesome. Yes.
I like it.
We've had requests for you to be on this show. So alhamdulillah, you agreed. So that's how you're here. Yes.
Okay. I
Alhamdulillah.
thought it was by accident, so I'm glad people requested.
Yes, people requested, and you've made these people happy. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Okay, so to start off, now tell us a little bit, how would you describe Aiman Azlan?
How would I describe myself?
Yes.
I am a blueprint of my father and mother.
Okay.
I get my sense of humor from my dad. But if you meet him, you wouldn't see that, because on the outside, he's this
Serious?
He looks serious with his long beard, and always have a skull cap on, kopiah on.
Kopiah, yeah.
Looks very religious and all. But you wouldn't expect him to be this kind of like jolly, silly kind of fellow.
Right, not facade-wise.
No.
Yeah.
But that's how I knew him as a father. So I got the sense of humor, this animatedness from him. But on the feminine side, on the sensitive side, I got it from my mother. Right? And you combine both, you got somebody like this. Somebody who's very animated, somebody who's very into humor. I don't take things seriously, except for a few things.
Right.
But generally, I don't take things seriously. That has helped me a lot in maintaining my mental health.
Yes, definitely.
Right? And having that sense of sensitivity allows me to be able to understand people.
Right.
And to be the kind of person where people, I don't know, feel like they can share things with me. And I've known that since primary school, actually.
Wow.
Friends coming to me and start telling me problems. I'm like, why me?
I'm the same.
But maybe they see something in you that you don't see in yourself,
Right.
because the eyes can't see inside, right?
Right.
So that's how I can describe myself as the person you see today.
So would you say sensitive as in you have a lot of empathy and compassion?
I like to say so, but I don't want people to misunderstand. It's not something that you were born as.
Right.
It's something that you
learn,
train
right?
yourself, and
Right.
you learn to be that way, right? And with psychology that you learn in university, plus the practice that you have in real life, you start to build that empathy.
So how do you, where is that boundary when you say, you know, you don't take things seriously, but then at the same time people come with you and it's really serious. There's a lot of relationship issues, mental health issues, right?
Correct. So when I say I don't take things seriously, it doesn't mean that if you come to me and tell me about your family problems, I'm gonna laugh in your face.
Right.
That's not what I mean. What I mean to say is I don't absorb everything,
Right.
because you can't.
Yeah.
You can't absorb everything.
Right.
You can't absorb all negative emotions. It's gonna break you down. So what I do is I listen, I empathize, but
Right.
I don't absorb.
Right.
I think that's a better way of putting it. I don't absorb it because I need to live another day.
Right.
I need to help another person.
But how
right?
do you do that? Because a lot of people find it challenging not to absorb,
Yeah.
especially when you're an empath, right? When people share with you stories
Right.
and you tend to absorb it without you even realizing it, right? And then when you get home and then now you realize, oh my God, you know, you've absorbed so much and then
Yeah.
now it impacts you. So what would you say? What would your maybe advice be? And how do you do it effectively?
To be fair, I don't see myself as an empath. I know
I
people who
see.
are
Yep.
empaths, and I know that it can really disturb them.
Right.
I have empathy, but I'm
Right.
not an empath,
Okay,
meaning
got
that it's not part of my personality that I do on a daily basis. Lah.
Okay.
It's something that I can employ when I need to.
Right.
Right. This is just like any other thing. Empathy is a skill that you can learn.
It is.
Right. So if you ask me how do you do it, well, in counseling they teach you how to do it. You can't take all problems and bring it home.
Right.
Because you have family at home. You have
Right.
wife at home. You have husband at home. You have children at home. So you have to leave it at the office. And so you have to build this boundary between you and your clients, you and their problems. And one of the things that I try to do, taught to me by a psychologist actually in Canada, University of Toronto, where I studied, you can't do other people's homework.
Right.
So it's like, that makes sense.
Oh my God, that's actually so good. You
'Cause-
can't do other people's homework.
Because
I
that
like
homework was given to them.
Yes.
Just like in school, you don't do other people's homework. I mean, your intention is good. You want to help them,
Right.
but you're not helping them
Right.
by doing the homework for them.
Right.
The teacher, in his or her wisdom, gave the homework to this person.
Correct.
So it is for this person to do.
Right.
So your job as the classmate is to help this person finish the homework, but you don't do the homework for them.
Awesome.
So
Empowering them.
that's how I mentally and emotionally try to put boundaries in between myself and their problems. And another, there's two. There's one, the
Right.
homework thing.
Right.
The other one is the same psychologist actually said that you don't want to steal from them. Like, ooh, stealing. Wow, there's another word that caught your attention, right?
Right.
Stealing.
Stealing.
What do you mean by stealing from them? Well, think of it this way. This test was given to them for them to grow.
Right.
And now you're stealing that opportunity from
For
them
them. Correct.
by doing the homework for them.
Awesome. I like
So
that.
you don't want to steal other people's growth.
Right. So you don't want to do their homework for them and you don't want to steal from them. And
Yeah.
because you really want to empower them. They must be involved in that journey.
Correct.
So-
and it's their journey.
And it's their journey and not yours. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Iman, for sharing that. Now, let's go back many, many years when you were more younger. And let's look at your experiences growing up. What
Sure.
would you say are some experiences that have shaped you to who you are today? And I know you said you're a
Right.
blueprint of your mom and your dad, but maybe there are some experiences that you felt was life-changing, maybe a turning point, or maybe most memorable for you?
I have to scan my life to answer this question, but I can't escape from my parents, obviously. They taught me the spiritual side of life quite early on.
Okay.
The two things that are always ringing in my ears growing up from my parents, especially my mother, was solat and cleanliness. Solat and cleanliness. And you never discount on those two things.
Right.
Especially living in a household of all guys. I have 5 brothers. I don't have any sisters. So all 6 of us all together.
Wow, and you are?
I'm number 4.
Number 4.
I'm the middle
okay.
child.
Well,
right?
yeah, you are the
I'm
middle
the middle
child.
child, like smack in the middle. So
Right.
so cleanliness is, as you can imagine, 6 guys is an issue.
It is. Oh my
But
God.
my mother always put it upon us that you have to take care of that,
Right.
right? You have to take care of your cleanliness because it's part of your salah. Because if you're not clean, you can't perform prayer properly.
Of course.
So those kind of like shape my spiritual worldview a little bit to understand cleanliness, not in a physical sense, but also in a spiritual sense. Cleanliness in terms of your mind.
Yes.
Like in my household, we don't swear.
Awesome.
We don't do those things. My parents, my father doesn't smoke. We don't smoke. I mean, I can't speak for all my brothers,
can
but
they
I
come to
don't
my
smoke.
podcast as well?
Sure, if you invite them, sure. With the right incentive, they might come.
Okay. And
So-
they're in Kelantan?
They're in Perlis.
Oh my God, they're in Perlis as well.
Yeah. So my family has been well established in Perlis for 20 plus years now. But we're still
Okay.
Kelantan at heart lah.
Okay.
Kelantanese at heart. So you can still smell the budu from our breath.
Right?
Even though, we eat harum manis as well. So
Oh my God, harum manis. I forget. Only in Perlis, mashallah.
that really will help with your mental health, harum manis,
Yes,
definitely.
definitely.
So yeah, my parents, that's kind of like the worldview that they created. And also they kind of helped me with choosing friends, which is the next chapter of my life. When you grow up being a teenager, you start to choose friends, and I choose friends with
Wow.
a similar kind of outlook, right? Friends who take care of their salah, they don't smoke.
But you're friends with everyone though, right?
I'm friendly with everyone.
You're friendly with everyone.
Yeah, but-
then you're selective when it comes
Exactly,
to
because you
who
have
you're
3
close with.
levels of friendship. You have acquaintance,
Yes.
which is why the general basic
Yes.
level of friendliness to everybody.
Correct.
Everybody can smile. You
Everyone
can
is
smile
an
back.
acquaintance in that
Yeah.
sense, yeah.
And the next level will be your friends,
Yes.
right? People whom you grew up with, your classmates,
Correct.
people you met in a camp or whatever. And then there's the next level, which is your companions, right? So I'm very selective with my companions. But I'm friends with everybody.
Correct.
I'm acquaintance with everybody. But the companions is what you now allow to influence your life. So my companions, they have the same kind of worldview as me. They have the same principles as me. They could be Muslim or non-Muslim.
Yep.
Right, but they have the same kind of like
Values. maybe?
that they have with me, and same habits as well.
Right.
It doesn't mean we're all like similar and the same. We have differences in our own uniqueness, but in terms of supporting each other in your own personal growth, right? That's when your companions really, really shape you. So you have to really choose wisely, lah.
I like this conversation. Awesome. So I'm
Yeah,
learning a
it's
lot
real,
about
right? It's
relationship.
real.
It is real, definitely real. Okay, so this all happened. So your companions, are they mostly in Perlis or are they in
They're
Canada?
Scattered. They're scattered.
Okay.
I have companions from my time in Canada. I have
Right.
companions when I was in Toronto, living with a bunch of guys. I
Right.
have companions there. I have companions here
Right.
in Perlis. So you have companions everywhere, but that circle is not that big. It's small.
It's interesting when you said, all your siblings are guys, because usually I have this perception, right?
Right.
When I look at a person, revolving around all men,
Yeah.
but you seem to be a person with more sisters somehow. But awesome. No, I see it in a good way. I say it in a good way.
I took it in a good way.
Yeah,
but
I see it.
what's the vibe that you got?
More feminish in terms of the empathy and the sensitivity and the things that
right.
you do as well, you see, because of the kindergarten and
Yeah.
your academy and you talk about relationship. So, and then counseling, psychology, because there's more women in this field, particularly
That is
mental
true.
health. Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah. So maybe that's how which is the wrong perception, obviously, since you have all guys in your family. Now, Iman, tell me a little bit more about this academy, Aiman Azlan Academy.
Yes.
So what is the inspiration behind starting this academy? And what does this academy do?
It started 2015.
Okay.
2 years after graduation, I decided to dive into personal development.
Okay.
That's the big field again. Personal development. Started off with something simple dulu. I started off with building confidence.
Okay.
I started off with how to speak English confidently. That's how it started. And then once I got into the whole interest of counseling people, of helping people, coaching people, and diving more into relationship, so Aiman Azlan Academy, the idea of it being an academy is because I want it to be knowledge first.
Okay.
Knowledge first. And then it shifted from focusing on personal development as this big topic into just helping single people get married.
Okay.
That's what it is now lah. In 2024.
Did you see a gap in that? Is that why you pursued it?
Yes.
Or is it more of the
definitely.
interest that came or passion that came first before seeing that gap?
It's both, I would say.
Both?
I can't say that, oh, this is what I want to do when I was 9. No,
Right.
I can't see, I
Definitely.
can't foresee this.
Right.
But definitely it goes along with how my life trajectory went.
Okay.
So I got married when I was 23. Many people say it's early. And I got interested in relationship and family at a very young age.
Okay.
Right? So together with that trajectory, people come with me with all sorts of family issues and sort of
Right.
like personal issues, marriage issues. So I decided there's a gap here in terms of, okay, how do you get married properly?
Right.
How do you build the foundation that could increase the probability that you're going to have a good family one day? Right? So there's a lot of literature, or there's a lot of, I would say, not literature, I would say programs about, husband and wife,
Right.
about how to raise good teenagers. But there's not a lot of programs about, okay, before all of that, you being a single person,
Right.
what's guiding you into
Right.
choosing the right person, right?
Correct.
So I saw a gap there. And this is not just me making my personal guesses. It's from, I don't know, but at this point, thousands maybe of
Right.
DMs and emails from people who are clueless about how to get married.
Right.
The only reference they have is whatever that's in the movies, in the novels, in the drama that they see on TV or
Right.
whatnot, what they see from people. But there isn't a specific guide to help them, a structure, a system, you would say, that would help them build the foundation to have a good relationship. So that's why I think I can help and kind of fill that gap a little bit.
Right. Do a lot of people do what you do?
Well, there's dating coach all
Dating
over the world.
coaches. Okay. In Malaysia, I meant.
In Malaysia, I know one other person who does it, but I'm not close with that person. Can't even remember his name, but I know that he's doing, well, he framed it as a dating coach.
But what would you call yourself?
I'm a ta'aruf coach.
Oh, ta'aruf
It's the
coach.
same.
Yeah, it is quite the same.
But why do I frame it as a ta'aruf coach as opposed to dating coach? Because I want to avoid the, what do you call that? The connotation
Oh, I see.
behind
Got
the
it.
word dating. Right?
Faham?
Because when I say dating coach,
Yeah.
people think, you support the kind of dating culture,
Yeah,
holding
yeah, yeah.
hands before
Right.
marriage or whatever. So I put ta'aruf coach
Ta'aruf.
there.
Got it.
But conceptually, it's the same thing. The difference now is because you're using Islam as a principle. That's where you go.
Okay. So what do you see right now? I mean, just a little bit, if you can touch before we go to our second segment, is what are the challenges of the generation today when we talk about pre-marriage relationship? Let's talk about pre.
I think there's a lot, but I can tell
Maybe
you
the main
one.
ones, yeah,
I can
yeah.
tell you one.
Okay.
I think one of the biggest challenges of today's generation is paradox of choice. It's a term used by Dr. Barry Schwartz. He's a psychologist. He's done this study on paradox of choice. A long story short, TLDR version is that if you have too many choices, you're going to get paralyzed.
Correct.
Right? And the thing about the whole culture of getting married nowadays is that you have too many choices. You can go on social media. Any one of those people can be your husband and wife.
Right.
Right? And they become paralyzed because if I scroll, I see this beautiful lady.
Right.
Right? I'm like, oh, I want to marry her. I scroll a little bit more. And there's another beautiful lady.
I see.
I want to marry her pula. I scroll. So this is the thing where you have these matchmaking sites, dating apps, and all this thing there's good in it.
Right.
I don't deny that, but I also cannot deny the risk of having too many choices on your decision making process. You start to compare and contrast. You start to paranoid yourself to a point where you think, oh, if I choose this person, maybe there's another one better than her. Maybe there's another one better than him.
Is it a paradox of choice, or is it how we value it? You know what I mean? Because like you said, when you're scrolling, you're looking at beauty.
Yeah.
Is that what it is as well? Is that why it's difficult? Because people are expecting facade being the main criteria.
One of it, yes. Because the way social media is engineered is that it's all facade.
Right.
It's all edited.
It is.
Right? That's how it's engineered. And you have this new generation who grew up with it.
Right.
We didn't grow up with it.
Of course.
So we have reference before the facade and after the facade.
Betul.
So we know that if I see you on Instagram, I know that's not your life as a whole. But this new generation, they don't have the reference. They don't know what it's like before the internet. They don't know the life before.
Right.
But we have that reference. So we have the wisdom of knowing that this is not real life.
Yeah.
I can use it as a good tool.
Exactly.
But it's not real life.
Betul.
But now you have this new generation who don't know that.
Right.
Unless they're guided, of course.
Right.
But they don't know that offhand.
So how does this ta'aruf work? Aiman, if you can share a little bit.
Sure. So ta'aruf, let's just put aside the name.
Okay.
You can call it ta'aruf. You can call it dating. You can call it courtship.
Right.
I don't really care about the name. But the idea of it is that you employ certain mechanisms that will safeguard you and your calon, would-be partner, from steering into zina.
Okay.
All right. That's it. So what are the mechanisms that you employ? Certain mechanisms that you employ. So first, you employ clear communication.
Okay.
So if you want something, you say it from the get-go that I want to know you better for the purpose of marriage.
I see.
I have no other agenda here. I don't want a hanky-panky. I don't want a one-night stand. This is what I want. Is that what you want too? Right? So that's the first thing. Let the niyat be clear. Innamal a'malu binniyat. Let the niyat be clear.
Okay.
And then, once the niyat is clear, then we talk about the method. How do we want to get to know each other? Well, the first thing first, we can't just be alone in a room.
Right.
So, have a third person there.
Right.
Your wali, your mahram, somebody who's with experience, be there with you to help you in the process of getting to know each other.
Okay.
It's a helping mechanism.
Right.
Because think of it this way. Let's say you and I both single. We don't have any experience with marriage. We don't.
Yep.
So have a third person there, like your wali, for example, right, to help you with the process is really beneficial.
Right.
Because you don't know what to ask. You don't know what problems that is going to arise in marriage. You don't know what topics to address, what issues that should be dealt with beforehand. So having that guide is very important. And you go through this process until you get to a point where it's enough ta'aruf.
Okay.
That's another problem with this generation. There's no enough.
Right. But where are you meeting these people?
Meet with these people who...
How do you meet? Like, you go through that ta'aruf process, but how does the woman meet the man? Or where do they find each other?
Traditionally.
Oh, traditionally.
In your social circle.
I see.
I met my wife in school.
Okay.
She was my Form 2 classmate.
Okay.
So that's how I met her.
Right.
And then, we do our own thing, go to university, and then we reunite after I decided I want to get married. So I was looking for calon, looking for potential candidates, and I found her in my contacts.
Okay.
So it's within my social circle, who I know.
Okay. So then you tell her directly that I want to get to know you for
send her
marriage?
an email.
Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so it's either by email or WhatsApp.
Yeah, anything that could clearly
indicate
express
that
this is my intention. Are you interested? Yes, no. Right? Oh, I need some time. Okay, take 2 weeks and I'll wait for you.
Okay.
And then 2 weeks on, she said, yep, okay, let's do it. All right, so we do ta'aruf. So that's how it started lah, just by email exchange, and then we do video call. Because at that time, she was in London, I was in Toronto.
Okay.
So we had to do it via the internet, but it's a video call exchange with a third person present. I'm just going to be honest, it's not romantic at all.
Okay. You can't with a third person.
It's not romantic at all, and I think by design it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, betul.
Right? Because romance, you enjoy that with the person that's already halal for you.
Correct.
So even though it's not romantic, I kind of understood that it's not the time for it yet. So awkward macam mana pun, I mean, you have to do it.
Okay, I'm signing up my children with you.
Sure,
okay.
sure.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much, Brother Iman. We will come back after this, only in Real Conversations with Anita. Right now, Brother Iman, if we can talk a little bit about mental health in the context of relationship and families, what taboos related to these two that you feel we don't talk about enough openly?
Right. I think one, off the top of my head, the one that's most obvious to me based on my interactions with my followers, my DMs, my emails, is the fact that parents can be wrong. I mean, it's tough to even say that again. Parents can be wrong because we have this overarching idea that kids, you can't say that. You can't even have the idea that parents can be wrong. Anything parents do, parents say, you just say yes, yes, follow. Otherwise, you are now deemed to be anak derhaka.
Betul.
And it is a well-established concept in Islam. Anak derhaka is something that you shouldn't be.
Right.
But I think it can be weaponized to make anything anak derhaka. Right? If you even hinted at a disagreement to your mother, derhaka menjawab dengan mak even though you do it like politely, you honor your mother, but you say, Mom, I don't agree with that.
Right.
That alone is not okay with some people in our culture. And I think this can cause detriment to the mental health of our young people when they know that parents are objectively in the wrong. But at the same time, you have to be delicate with how you address this issue, because you don't want the other thing to happen, that is children become rebellious, right? So how do you balance this between, you don't want parents to be authoritarian, at
anak
the same
menjadi
time,
puan kan kita kata.
exactly, at the same time you don't want kids to be rebellious.
Betul.
So that I believe there's a middle ground whereby if you have in a family this healthy practice of open communication.
Yes, I agree.
Open communication doesn't mean that I can curse to my mother. No. Open communication means I can tell you how I feel.
Safe kan?
In a safe environment, right? I'm not going against you. I'm not like, you're still my mother, you're still my father. I still love you, but I need you to know that this is how I'm feeling, right? I don't like it when you do this, that, or the other. And then the parents can also say to the children, well, I do this because this, that. But I get how you feel. But this is how I'm feeling as a mother pula. And that is not happening. What's happening is very one-sided and one-directional, unidirectional, whereby I say you do. I say you do. You can't, if you respond, it is seen as talking back. Even though a response is just a response. I think that's one of the biggest taboo that we have in our culture. And that what's happening is now becomes, when you go to relationship, let's say the daughter, the son is of age, they want to get married, they want to have a relationship, they want to have a family, it becomes difficult now because you don't have that base relationship with your parents where you can openly discuss things. So how are you going to openly discuss about, hey mom, I like this girl, she's nice, I want her to meet you? Because you never had that relationship where you can just talk to your parents, right? So if you don't have that as a base, when you want to talk about serious stuff, it becomes difficult.
I think it's so important. One of the things that I always say is your kids must come to you for the little things so that they will come to you for the bigger things as well.
Yes. And I have this, underlying fear as a father. My kids are still young, 9 and 5.
Okay.
But I already have that. Where one day my son's gonna be a teenager. I fear that he may not come to me if he has issues about girls or having this hormonal issue that he can't come to me and ask me questions. Why do I feel like this?
Right.
Or why is my bed wet or something like that?
Betul.
Have that conversation with me openly because he's comfortable with me. And I have that fear now because I see the effect of it later on.
Right.
Because I see this like 20-something-year-old, 30-something-year-old with unfinished business from 20 years ago.
Betul.
When they were 9 and 10.
Right.
And you see the effects of it when they're adults.
Right.
Right?
But I do see that shift though, Brother Iman. I do see parents today, because of these information that is more readily available, that parents are more mindful about these things. And they're able to have these, at least in the work of MIASA, we see how the younger generations do have these open conversations. And I also do practice this with my own children, which they are now 15 and 14.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. That we have these difficult conversations safely, and it's all because I have that knowledge. I have better knowledge, so my husband and we try to do better, and I see that it works.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Although of course there are going to be instances where there is still fear in that sense, because you know the expectations of parents.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I do.
So for kids or for teenagers, especially my kids being teens now, they realize and they're fully aware. So they too choose sometimes the things that they're able to share. And sometimes when I do ask, especially my daughter, and she'll say, "Mommy, I can't share that part because I promised my friend." You know, those kind of things. And then you try to say, well, you know, you guys are still underage. There are still some things that maybe if you were to discuss it with us, you know, we can be of guidance. And so these conversations are really positive. It's really important to have these conversations with them so that they know it's safe and you're not yelling at them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because
yes.
or being dismissive. I think these are the two most important things, because kids fear because they feel they're going to be yelled at, or they're going to be dismissed. So these two.
Yep.
Right?
Fear-based parenting.
Betul.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you're sharing all this. Thank you so much, Brother Iman. Now, how do we navigate though these conversations, and how important is it to talk about mental health before marriage? Because a lot of people tell me, Puan Anita, I think during kursus kahwin, we need to have these conversations about mental health, because we find, Brother Iman, that when mental health issues happen within couples, it hurts that relationship. And then sometimes separation come about, unfortunately, right? When it could have been navigated better with knowledge.
That is true.
Right. So what would you say? How do we navigate these conversations? Because there's so much taboo surrounding mental health conditions.
That is true.
Right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of, like you said, there's fear, that's one, but there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of shame that you carry within you. Right? And so you downplay either your symptoms or your experiences so that others can relate and people don't then fear you as well, or label you, or stigmatize you, or discriminate you.
Yep.
Right. So
all
all of that. So what's your take on that?
Well, first I would like to highlight what you just said, is that the husband and wife relationship, if that breaks, it's not just the breakage of that relationship alone. It's also the breakage of families. Right. That's why I'm very big into the men and women relationship, how it's first started in the premarital stage, because you are crucial. The nucleus of the family, right? If you and your husband, you and your wife have a good relationship, it's gonna permeates your parenting, permeates you when you become a grandfather, grandmother.
Correct.
So it's something that has this chain reaction effect. So how do we navigate that? If, let's say, all things are said and done, already happened, it's all the past, now you have this condition where you have a family who doesn't understand mental health, maybe stigmatized mental health. And usually the people who come to me are people who are the sons and the daughters who come to me, right? And they feel helpless because I can't change my dad, I can't change my mom, but they're my family, and they control the narrative in the family. So what am I going to do? I'm just one person. So what I say to them is, there's a lot that you can do, and you just need to focus on that, what you can do. oftentimes what happens, and people deteriorate because they focus on what they cannot control.
Betul.
Right? Because
Totally agree.
my mom still say this. I know, because you don't control your mom. She's gonna say what she's gonna say.
Yeah.
But you do control, however, how you treat your mom,
Yes.
how you educate your mom, what you share with your mom.
Correct.
Right? Whether that will change her into, understanding mental health or not is beyond your control. You just have to be okay with that. And what's within your control is you can surround yourself with people who can support you. You
Yep.
can reach out to people like MIASA, for example, have good friends who will support you in your mental health journey. And with your family, just accept them how they are and keep on telling them and sharing with them in a nice way about your experiences and what you have learned. And don't worry too much. You have to worry, but don't worry too much whether they will change or not.
Right.
Again, that's beyond your control.
Betul.
And we as Muslims, we have this, again, enough. What I said before, right? The line where it's enough, where you understand this is where my effort ends and my tawakkal begins.
Right.
Right? So I can only invite. This is da'wah, right?
Right.
Invite my family
Right.
to understand mental health, to understand what I'm going through, to understand what other people's going through, to try to break the stigma. I can only do it to a certain point. And after that point, I leave it to Allah. It doesn't mean I stop. It means that I know where I know where my power ends.
Right.
And Allah's power begins.
Right.
And Allah has His own, infinite wisdom where whether a person will change or not.
Right.
Whether a person's heart will be open or not.
Betul.
And plus, it's also a matter of individual choice. Allah says Allah doesn't change a person unless He changes what is within himself.
Love it.
So, understanding all of these important concepts can give you a sense of peace, if I may use the word, in knowing this is what you should do with the power that you have.
Right.
Right? And a lot of people break down because they try to go beyond their power. Try to go beyond.
The limit.
Oh, I need to change my father. I need to change my mother. You can't.
Yep.
Even the Prophet cannot change the one he loved.
Betul.
Right? But you still do the work.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yep.
Do the work.
Right.
Do the work. Keep on doing the work. Whether people change or not is beyond the point. You keep on doing the work.
Yeah. It's
Right.
perseverance, right? And that's one of the things that we talk a lot about. Don't give up. Continue educating.
Right.
But knowing and realizing, having that awareness that you can't change anyone, but people can change,
True.
right? Not on your own time, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's time. Okay, now, what would you say are maybe the generation today, or maybe let's say Generation Z, right? And then the alphas coming in. So these are the generation that we want to educate and have them a solid base and foundation.
Right.
What would you say they need to know more of and be more aware about?
I believe, because I think my youngest brother is probably Gen Z. He's born in 2001. That's Gen Z,
Gen
right?
Z,
Yeah,
that's Gen
born
Z.
2001. So
Other than socials, let's say we're
Yeah.
not talking about social media. We're talking more about physical interaction, building that relationship.
right. I think not just the latest generation. I know we talk about the Gen
Yeah.
Z now, but generally, I think we need to instill good principles in young people.
Yeah.
If I were to reflect back the same way my parents instilled the principle of salah and cleanliness, right? So it's those basic principles that are going to help you and probably save you from a lot of
Yes.
ailments moving forward.
Betul.
So these simple principles don't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to dump a book on them, but this simple principle that will help them navigate their life in choosing good friends, in
Right.
choosing where to go, in choosing whatever they want to learn online, in having that self-monitoring skill, where I as a father can't be with you all the time, but I'm going to instill in you this awareness of Allah, for example, that He's
Right.
always watching. So even though I'm not there, you understand Allah is watching you, and
Right.
you make your choice accordingly, and you're responsible for that choice.
Right.
Simple principle like that.
Betul.
And whatever choice you made and whatever consequence that happened, you own it. Can't blame anybody else, right? Can't be like, oh, it's the system, it's because the internet is too fast. No. You make your choice, right? So you own up to it. And I think this is a basic thing all generations should have, especially the new generation, where the information is so vast and so fast moving, right? You
An overflow of information.
And overflowing. It's overflowing, that you need that sense of fixated principles that anchor you down.
Ground
right?
You,
Otherwise you'll be swept away by all this stuff.
So tell me, what does your parents do?
The two things. They're not complicated people. They're very simple in their approach. They always make sure you do your salah.
Okay.
Take care of your cleanliness.
I mean the approach. Like, is it lecture based? Is it how is that approach? How did you guys take it in?
Let me reflect back. Well, they do employ the traditional approach where those kind of things, right? At the time, of course, you feel like macam alamak, she's pushing me, kena buat, But just like with anything else, as you grow older, you start to appreciate what they did.
Okay.
Not at the time though.
Right.
I have to be honest, guys. Not at the time. Hats off to my parents. Like, at the time, you complain much. You do all these things, but as you grow older, I think there's an advantage of not having social media back then, because if I had social media, I would complain on social media. My mom did, and I would have people who would agree with me.
Right.
And now I have a gang now to go against my parents. So that's kind of like the challenge of today. But back then, if your parents say, do your salah or whatever, I can't complain on social media. There is none.
Right.
I can probably complain to my neighbors. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the extent of it.
Right.
You don't go beyond that. Now there's always this chance that you can create your own community on anything. Community is good when you are on the basis of good. Yeah. But community can also be bad if the community is all about bashing parents.
Right.
Right? So my parents did employ that so-called traditional kind of way of parenting, bit of yelling, bit of pushing, bit of telling you should do this, otherwise this will happen, But for us, it works.
Right.
Maybe because of you have all males in the family. Maybe because of we don't mind that kind of method or whatnot. But funny enough, if I were to ask my brother, my eldest brother, he would say, "Mom's gone soft on you."
I think it's so typical, kan?
Typical kan?
Typical.
You always have the eldest one yang kata macam dulu
macam ni lain kan.
Because I thought ni dah kira brutal lah ni kan, kena paksa bangun.
Betul.
So but then I think they learn, just like with any parents, you learn as you go along.
Yeah.
Right? The first one, sadly enough, you get the raw version of the parenting, and then they will refine their ways. So my youngest brother has probably the chillest version of my parents, right? So even though you have the same parents, you may experience different approach over time.
Yes.
So I can't really say that even though they have the same kind of like values that they instill over generations, but their approach may be different. But for me, during my time, they do employ that direct approach of yelling sometimes, lecture sometimes, give us an earful once in a while. So that happened,
Right. This gives me a great segue to give you this quote. And this quote was given to my son when he was 13. He's actually still 13. He's 14 last year. So he said, "Mommy, I read a quote he found it on the internet, obviously. I think one of the TikTok things." And then I said, "Okay." And he said, "It was a huge eye-opener and mind-blowing for me." I said, "Okay." He said, "I know you're going to love it, so listen." And I said, "Okay." And he said, the quote says, "This is your mom's first time living too." Awesome, kan? I'm like, oh my God. He said, "See, I told you." I said, oh my God, Farid, that is such an awesome quote.
Yes.
Right?
That
because when you think about it, it is your mom's first time living too. She's also learning. As you are learning, she's also learning.
I'm a first-time father. I don't have any experience, so
none.
Bear with me.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
So that's it. Even if you have the next child,
Right.
It's my first time having a second child.
Exactly, right?
It's my first time having a third child.
Betul.
So you grow with time. It's
Yes.
evolution. You just grow with time. You learn as you go along. Yeah, you're gonna have.
And you try not to repeat the
pros and
same
cons.
mistakes,
Exactly,
right? You learn
exactly.
from it.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
So sorry to all the firstborns out there.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Iman. Oh my God, I love this conversation and where it's heading. But we have to end the second segment.
Aw.
And I know time's short. So we will come back with segment 3 with Brother Aiman Azlan here in Real Conversations with Anita. I want to get a little bit personal on your journey.
Spicy.
Yes. Okay. Has there ever been a time where you yourself struggled with mental health challenges? Obviously, the answer should be yes.
Yeah.
And if you can tell me a little bit about, and our viewers and listeners, of course, what does these challenges look like and how did you overcome it?
Well, the default answer is yes.
Yep.
Right? Yes. But I think one thing that I can tell you
Right.
is something recent.
Okay.
Right? Because it's still fresh in my mind, right? So, as a parent of 2 young boys, still males
Yeah.
in the family,
Yeah.
2 young boys.
I know. Oh my God, I didn't realize that.
I have 2 boys.
My God. Wow.
But oddly enough, my brothers have all daughters, but that's a different story.
Okay.
I guess all the testosterone flow here.
Yep.
So my struggle with mental health is in controlling anger,
Okay.
which is something I didn't realize I had. Because I thought I was like I said, I'm an easygoing
you
guy.
seem very easygoing.
Easygoing guy,
Yeah.
funny. You know, I
Betul.
don't take things seriously, but I think my boys, they managed to get it out of me.
Yeah.
So I say to people, marriage reveals you.
Yeah.
It doesn't like change you, it just reveals what's already there.
Right.
And I thought I had patience. With my friends, if they
It's different, man,
test
with
me
children.
or whatnot. I thought, I'm a patient
different.
guy because my friend
Yeah.
pissed me off, but I can
Right.
stay patient.
Right.
But when the boys really test you, they really test you. So I
Yes.
have this, I am having this struggle with managing anger, whereby I don't want to explode on them. I never want to be that kind of
Right.
father, the kind of father who put their hands on their children, physically hurt them or whatnot. But it is tempting. It is tempting because we know fear-based parenting works.
It does.
We know it works. We know it brings the result immediately.
It does.
Like if my son yells, I can slap him once, he will shut up.
Right.
I know it works, but I also know it's a short-term solution
Fix, right? Yeah.
with a long-term
Term
pain.
effect. Betul.
So needing to remind myself of that long-term, things long-term, because anger is very short-term.
Right.
Anger wants immediate results, right? But when you are angry, you're in that state of anger,
Right.
right? The short term is very tempting, it's very close to you, it's like staring you in the face. It's easy to take that choice,
Right.
right? So to pause, take a step back, and to think long term takes a lot of energy. So usually with my boys, I get tired very easily, not because of any physical exertion, but because of the emotional,
Betul.
menahan,
Betul.
emotional perseverance of, okay, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, I should think about this, I want to do this, but okay. So that is my struggle right now as a father, because as your child grows, right, their complexity grows.
Of course.
It's not like they're 2-year-old I can handle.
Yes.
Very simple,
Yeah.
easy, right? But once they turn like 4 or 5, now my eldest is 9, so the brain development is already there in terms of the prefrontal cortex. He can reason now a little bit.
Betul.
He can manipulate now.
Yes.
He can talk. He like his father. He can talk,
Right.
right? So sometimes his words hurts, and you feel macam so silly. A 9-year-old can hurt me, a 33-year-old with
Of
words.
course.
But
Of course
he
they can.
knows. I don't think he knows consciously, but I think the words that come out really hurt me as a father because it feels like he undermines me as his father.
Right. But it's also an expression of pain from his side.
Exactly. So you have to somehow mute that part of your brain that says kurang ajarnya budak ni.
Betul.
And start to see that he's expressing pain now.
Betul.
Pay attention to the pain he's feeling, not the pain you're having.
Correct.
And that's tough.
It is tough.
That's tough, especially when you grew up in an era where punishing your child is not a big deal.
Right.
Right? So you want to change that. I mean, you still employ some form of punishment, but not in a point where it will detrimentally affect his development and well-being and growth.
Right.
And also, the other side of it is, how do you maintain authority as the parent while still being kind to these little ones?
Correct.
Because some people might see that as you being weak, and now your anak naik kepala.
Betul.
You know, anak naik kepala. Jangan bagi anak naik kepala.
Betul.
Show them who's boss.
Right.
But I think the problem with that, if you have the need to show them who's boss, that's a sign of your own insecurity, that you're not confident with your own authority, that you have to like show or over exaggerate your own
Betul.
bossiness
Right.
to your children. You have to say that I am the boss of this house, rather than make them realize naturally that you are the boss.
Betul.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's like where I'm at right now. So I'm giving a very recent example because it's fresh. It's still there.
Right. And I think there's so many gems in what you just shared, Brother Iman, and I resonate so much with everything you just shared. And although your children, they're 5 and 9 and mine are 14 and 15, but I can tell you I've got moments where, again, they're expressing themselves. And there was this one time when they were really young, and obviously they didn't really know what it meant or how much it hurt you, but we were having this conversation, and one of my child, they got pissed off about something, and he or she was like, I hate you. And my husband just looked at me and he said, calm down, it's okay, they don't know what they're saying, so my husband is more mature when it comes to these types of conversations and expressions, right? I'm like, I cried and I was, when I spoke to my husband, I was like, why would these things come out from their mouth? And he said, okay, remember, they're growing up. They're still, it's self-discovery. They're learning things, all of that. And so as a parent, remember, you've got to also understand where they're coming from, right? So like I said, the expressions of pain, what they're trying to communicate, they don't necessarily have that language during the time yet.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very different. And one of the things that I wish other parents or parents with older children would tell younger parents like me and in yourself is enjoy your children when they're young. Really. Because when
I
they're...
remind myself that
because
I'm gonna miss this.
You're going... No,
I convince
really,
myself I'm gonna miss this.
No.
I'm gonna miss this.
No. Take it from me. Remember this. And everyone, okay? If you're having young children, you are really going to miss it. It's different when they're older. Not in a bad way, but you're just going to miss the moments where they can just freely come and hug you and say, I love you, and not be embarrassed when you are hugging them in front of their friends. So there's a lot of things. And it's as if there's this grief, Brother Iman and everyone, that you have to go through, which I did, especially when my kids... we separated, right? In the sense where they had to move to their own bedrooms.
Yeah.
And they would always sleep with me. I mean, for a mom, that's grief that I was going through. And nobody warned me about it. And then when I started having these conversations with my friends with children that were teens or even in the 20s, and then they said, yes, Anita. I said, oh my God, how come nobody had this conversation with me? I was never warned, Brother Iman.
So you went through the 5 stages of grief.
Yes, I did.
Unknowingly.
Yes, unknowingly. And so I tell parents, especially with younger children, enjoy your kids. So, Brother Iman, enjoy your children. Even how difficult you might feel, you're going to miss it.
I know. I try to convince myself. I am trying that however painful and annoying this is, I'm going to look back, I'm going to miss this.
Yes.
And that helps. That helps at least swallow the pill down.
Betul, betul. And especially when they come to your room and they just burst in, or even when you're in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, I miss those moments.
or
Sometimes
my
I
son
feel like,
knocks in
where
the
are these kids?
bathroom
They're
and-
just in their rooms and not coming up, not even dropping in and saying hi and things like that. And sometimes when I come back from work, I'm like, okay, where's my children? And, oh, mommy, we didn't know you're back yet, So enjoy.
Yeah. When they're too
Enjoy.
loud, you get annoyed. When they're
Yes.
too quiet, you
You
get
get
annoyed.
annoyed,
You're
betul,
like,
and then you miss it, kan? So yeah, enjoy the time that you have.
It is true. We grow with our kids. Everything is the first time.
Betul,
Yeah.
betul. Alhamdulillah. Now, what is your hope for the near future? Not far future, just near future.
Near future. Okay,
Near.
near future. Okay. As a background, my life revolves around two things:
Okay.
family and work. I don't have anything else going on. I'm quite boring in that way.
Right.
Is
The men come to our show, all men say the same thing.
either
They're
family
boring.
or work.
Somehow.
That's it. People say, "What do you do for fun?" This is fun. I work. This is fun.
Right.
So I don't like have the need to go lock myself in a room, play games 5 hours a day. I don't have the need to do sports like futsal at 3 a.m. in the morning or go to mama for 2-3
None of
hours
that?
with friends. No.
Okay.
I enjoy working and I enjoy spending time with my family. That's my life, right? So when you say what's my hope for the future, I can't go beyond that. That's
Right.
where the orbit goes, right? So my hope for the future is for my boys to have a good education,
I mean,
to have good friends,
I mean.
and hopefully they don't forget what I did for them with all the kindergarten that I opened a branch for them.
I
They
know.
don't understand it now,
Right.
but I did it for them.
Betul.
And that's the near future hope that they don't forget. But parents, you have this need to want to bring things up. Even now, my son is 9, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, tahu tak apa papa buat? Dah mula dah. But that's I guess that's my hope. And if I were to stretch it a bit longer, I hope that for my boys, I instill. I'm gonna quote Marvel. Can I quote Marvel?
Yes, you can.
Okay. There's this Black Panther, the
Okay.
first movie, Black Panther.
Love Black Panther.
There's a scene in Black Panther 1 where the main character, quote unquote, dies and go into the
Yep.
realm where he sees his father,
Betul.
his dead father, right?
Yes.
And he sees his father, hug his father. I'm like, I miss you so much. And he said, I can't live without you.
Yeah.
And the father said to him, if a father doesn't prepare his son for his departure, that father has failed.
Yep.
And I'm like, yes,
Yep.
that's my theme for fatherhood.
Yep.
Whatever I do, I should prepare you for my departure.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to be here for long. I don't know where I'm going to go, when I'm going to go. So my goal for the longest term is that I'm going to leave my boys with the right kind of attitude and principles so that if I'm gone, they're still going to be okay.
Yep.
That's the hope.
Yeah. That's the hope of every parent, though, Brother Iman. That's
I
what we
hope so.
try to do.
I hope so.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, thank you. Now, what are you, maybe one last thing, what are you currently learning that you feel I should be learning too?
What am I learning right now that
Yep.
you should be learning too?
Yep.
I am... okay. I am learning how to steal time.
Okay. Got it.
Because right now at home it's hard to do work with kids around.
Yeah.
I mean probably you a teenager lain sikit kot, but for young kids it's hard to steal time. So
Can totally relate.
what I try to do is try to find the time where okay, right now I'm with the boys. Okay, so I'm trying to be with the boys, and then
Right.
I can steal time away to do work.
Right.
So that's the skill I'm learning. I don't know if you need it, but that's what I'm learning right now. It's to steal time.
Awesome.
Because there's a lot that I want to do.
Right.
There's a lot that I'm doing. There's a lot I want to achieve. But having two boys around and
Awesome.
having to take care of like the kindergarten and the daycare,
Definitely.
you really
yeah.
have to steal time. You can't say I don't have time. I don't have time.
Betul.
I
Gotta
think
make time.
I don't use that excuse anymore. I hope.
Yeah.
Because I think time is there. You just have to steal it.
Yeah. I think I learned it the hard way.
Really?
And how I learned how to steal time is to ask for help.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But
I
I learned
should
it the
do that.
hard way, man. I tell you.
I
That was
should do
hard.
that.
Yeah. Ask for
I don't
help.
know. Is it a guy thing? Too macho to ask for help?
No.
Is it a guy thing?
No, I think it's a leader thing.
Really?
It's a woman thing. Women find it really hard to ask for help. Really.
I think men too.
Men too. But woman, when you're a wife and a mom, you know, and then you've got kids and then you've got work. You know, typically
Right.
for me, I think because my upbringing, just being very independent, living overseas, working overseas, I think it wasn't something that I knew how to.
Is it weakness? Is that it?
No, I felt, I think it's ego.
Ah.
Ego kan sebenarnya.
Makes sense.
So I had to learn the hard way when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took away my health and I could no longer function as a normal human being. I think that
Right.
was how I had to then ask for help
Yeah.
because I couldn't do it myself anymore. Yeah, so I think that was it, and the perception that you have as well. I think how life happened, I thought I was invincible. So then seeking for help became, you know, the last thing that I would resort to.
That resonates really, because even for me, I would ask for help when it's already like
Hujung
it's
kan.
too much. And
Right.
I think the skill to learn is to ask help before it becomes
Yes.
too much.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you.
Because you think to yourself, boleh lagi ni, boleh tahan lagi ni, it's okay, boleh tahan
Yep,
lagi ni.
yep.
But then you know the end.
Yes.
You've been here before.
Betul.
You know the end. So how about you maybe take 3 steps back and just ask for
Now.
help there. So
Yes.
before, you know, the house burns down, you see the
Yes.
fire there,
Betul.
ask help now, okay? So that's the skill that I'm trying to learn. And yeah, you're right. I should ask for help because you have 24 hours alone, but if you have 2 people, you have 48.
Yes.
So
Exactly, right? And then it multiplies.
it multiplies. Correct.
All
yeah.
right. Okay. Last question for you.
Yee. Okay.
We enjoyed having you. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so
Likewise.
much.
Likewise.
I hope it's beneficial. I'm sure it is for our listeners and viewers. Now, what is your message of hope to those who are struggling, be it mental health issues, relationship issues, marriage challenges? Brother Iman, from everything that you've learned, everything that you've gone through, everything that you are learning currently,
Yeah.
what would your message be to them? Us, to all of us.
There's one thing. I think I realized this probably 1 or 2 years ago when I reflected upon the prophets.
Okay.
And I realized, you know, prophets have family issues. Like almost all of them that we know of.
Yes.
Prophet Ibrahim has issues
Yes.
with his father.
Correct.
Prophet Yusuf.
Big issues, huge
big
issues.
issues. I mean, he was kicked out.
Huge.
Kicked out.
Right.
They tried to murder him. I mean, come
Yes.
on. Prophet Yusuf had issues with his brothers. Prophet Yaqub has issues with his sons. Prophet Muhammad SAW had issues with his uncle.
Yes.
Prophet Lut has issues with his wife. Prophet, I mean, the
And
list
Allah
goes
is
on
trying
and
to
on
send
and on.
us a message, right?
Like family issues are
Right.
just
Real.
real.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you can't be like, oh, there's such a thing as, you know, that family is perfect. That family is perfect. Look
Right.
at that family. Look at that Instagram, all smiling and all. But you have no idea. Before they snapped the smiling picture, they were fighting before, just before the snap. So that's what I realized. I think the message there, the underlying message there, is that you can't escape that.
Right.
The family issues. I think that they're the most challenging part of life, your family. And even though the one who's listening probably gonna say and yell, you mana tahu Brother Iman, bapak you okay? But you have no idea. I haven't told you everything,
Betul.
right? I haven't told you. I'm not saying that I have skeletons in my closet, but
Right.
I'm saying that my parents aren't perfect,
Right.
right? So we do have issues.
Of
We do
course.
carry scars from our childhood, and
Yes.
it's just a matter of what do you do to deal with them,
Yes.
right? You can't undo them,
Right.
but you can choose what to do with them.
Yes.
And I think if you look at how the prophets are, if you want to talk about, you know, daddy issues, you want to talk about family issues, I mean, these are prophets.
Right.
you
And mental
would-
health issues.
Mental health issues.
Right.
You would imagine, right? If Allah were to give a perfect life, it would be to the prophets.
Right. Exactly.
But no, it's
Nope.
far beyond than that. And this is a lesson for us, actually, that nobody can escape this. This is the
Right.
reality of life. And I think we should be okay with that, I think.
Right.
And just decide what choices are you going to take now to face this.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. The choices that you make.
Yeah. And it is within your control, these choices.
It is. Yeah, it is. Definitely is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brother Iman, for all your insights. your expertise, your experiences that you just shared. I think I learned a lot, of course. I learned a lot from all the guests that appear. And your life isn't boring. And I think you are doing so much good, for society.
Thank you.
Please keep it up, especially your ta'aruf work and of course your counseling, which I love. We're big on mental health. Obviously, we're MIASA. So we wish you all the best. And thank you once again for being with us in Real Conversations with Anita. So that's it, folks. Brother Aiman Azlan with us. Don't know which episode this is. We've gone so far already with Real Conversations with Anita. Please stay tuned. Catch us on Spotify. Spotify is Real Conversations with Anita, and YouTube, MIASA Malaysia, every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, and please take care of each other. This is Real Conversations with Anita, a mental health podcast brought to you by Iltizam by Equinus and MIASA Malaysia.